Hey, everybody. We've had a little bit of a change up. Mike's not going to be able to join us today, but that's fine. I have got so many notes and I'm so excited about this topic. So I'm going to play our little clips and then we'll get into talking about emotional intelligence. Hey guys, nice to see so many people showing up in the chat to begin with. I was worried I wouldn't have anybody. So let me say hello to Elise, Tanaki, Michelle, Paranormal. I saw you, Angel. I am so glad y'all are here. I was going to have this show with Mike today, but he's not going to be able to make it. But that's fine because I've got a lot of notes. This is one of my favorite topics. Anything to do with psychology. Hey, LaVon, anything to do with psychology or the way the brain works, or especially emotions. No, I love these topics. But a lot of us know about IQ and how IQ is measured, and it's the cognitive ability that you have and how you're able to store so much information and use it. And we know what IQ is, but a lot of people don't know what EQ is, which is emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. And that's the way emotional intelligence is how you relate to and have the ability to understand and use and manage your own emotions in a positive way, to relieve stress, to communicate more effectively, to obtain your goals. And that can be worked on. And it's gotten to where now employers do EQ tests as much as or more than IQ test, because they have found that people with a higher EQ are more successful even than their counterparts with a higher IQ. Okay, now that I've thrown out all those letters, I got my notes so I wouldn't go off on a tangent. Y'all know I will. You know I will. Okay, it's EQ is got four attributes that most commonly define it, and that's self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, and relationship management. Self-management, quite simply, is You're able to control impulsive feelings and behaviors and manage your emotions in a healthy way, take initiative, follow through on commitments, and adapt to changing circumstances. And that's very important because a lot of people can't do that. Self awareness, simply being able to be in touch with your own emotions. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and you use those to help identify what you are feeling and thinking at the moment. Paranormal, I need to go get some more sage. We were talking about that. My sister and I were talking about that the other day. Social awareness, having empathy, being able to identify the emotions of the people you're around. And okay, there are some people that are born empaths. Some people have to learn how to read other people and learn their emotions that way. And I mean, I know the notes and all, but I am an empath. And I, whenever I'm around somebody, even if it's in a chat, yeah, even if it's in a chat, I can feel what people are feeling. And some more than others, we resonate on the same wavelength. But yeah, that's something that you can also develop. Hold on, y'all. Keep getting notifications. Hey, Mimi, nice to see you. Good morning. And then there's relationship management. You know how to develop and maintain good relationships, communicate clearly, inspire and influence others, and work well in a team. I want to do something for a minute. As I said, when self-management, self-awareness. Close your eyes for a minute and take the deepest breath you can take till you can't take it in anymore, and then hold it for a few seconds, as long as it's comfortable. And then exhale through your mouth slowly. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Hold it. And exhale slowly through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. And hold it. Hold it. And then release slowly through your mouth. Take another deep breath in. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And release slowly through your mouth. And if you do that a couple of times, whatever emotion you've got going on, it'll calm you down. And it is a simple way of relieving stress at the moment, because being self-aware is being aware. Okay, London girl, because I got something in here I need your help with. I've studied on some of these things, and we're going to talk about mindfulness. But being able to calm yourself is part of being emotionally intelligent. Okay. I don't even know where I am in my notes. Your emotional intelligence also has a big effect on your physical health. If you're unable to maintain your emotions, you are probably not managing your stress either. And that's where the breathing exercises come in, where you can relieve stress at that moment and then go from there. Excuse me. This can lead to serious health problems. Uncontrolled stress raises your blood pressure, Pressure suppresses the immune system, increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes, contributes to infertility, and speeds up the aging process. The first step to improving emotional health is to learn how to manage stress. Your mental health, uncontrolled emotions and stress can also impact your mental health, making you vulnerable to anxiety and depression. If you are unable to understand, get comfortable with, or manage your emotions, you'll also struggle to form strong relationships. This in turn can leave you feeling lonely and isolated and further exacerbate any mental health issues. Your relationships. By understanding your emotions and how to control them, you're better able to express how you feel and understand how others are feeling. I want to do something else. I want you to sit back and relax for just a minute. This is just going to be a way of explaining to others. Close your eyes and think of somebody that you're close to, maybe your mother, your siblings, somebody that you are very close to, and think of something going on in their life that does not involve you, but you know about, whether it be they're starting a new job or they're starting a new hobby or they've just got something else going on in their life. Stop for a minute and send them positive vibes, positive energy, and just say to yourself, you're going to succeed. You're going to be great. You're going to do this perfectly. Just send them all of the positive energy you can possibly send them. And that's thinking outside of yourself. Okay, Tanuki, that you get it anyway. You get it. Um, but I understand that too. Well, happy late birthday. I will be 51 next month. So, yeah, we're all up there together. But being able to, I know a lot of, I've met a lot of empaths since I've been on YouTube and we've talked about it. But being able to identify with somebody else and feel what they feel actually is part of your own emotional intelligence. Instead of being self-centered, you're able to reach outside of yourself. I had something on mindfulness I wanted to talk about. London girl, are you back? Are you hiding in my bushes? Okay, I've got on here managing stress is the first part of building emotional intelligence. The science of attachment indicates that your current emotional experience is likely a reflection of your early life experience. And here, Grandma and Mamas, here's some things to think about. The way that your caregiver addresses your emotions, such as I know a lot of us have heard, quit crying, or I'll give you something to cry about, or something along those lines. Well, that's not validating the fact that I feel like I have something to cry about. I'm crying for a reason, and you've totally negated what I'm feeling. That is wonderful. And see, you can't be sad and mad and all that when you've got that much joy in your life. You're welcome, darling. Of course. Excuse me, I was going to do 2 shows today, but I thought I'd be pushing it. I wanted to talk about mindfulness. That's why I was asking if London Girl was back in here, because I know she knows all about this. Mindfulness is the practice of purposely focusing your attention on the present moment and without any judgment. It's here and now, right now. Um, the cultivation of mindfulness has its roots in Buddhism, but most religions have some type of prayer, meditation, chants, and that all works in there too. Mindfulness helps shift your preoccupation with thought toward an appreciation of the moment, your physical and emotional sensations, and brings a large perspective on life. Mindfulness calms and focuses you, making you more self aware in the process. And I love that. I love that. I run nonstop. My mind is going faster than my body most of the time. And whenever I started studying this and the mindfulness of it, I'm like, you do have to stop back and enjoy that moment. Don't worry about what's coming the next moment. Stop and enjoy that very moment that you're in. Thank you. Please get those thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying so hard to get to 500. I'm really trying. That is my goal, and any bit of help I can get, I appreciate. Mindfulness is an ally of emotional and social awareness. To build social awareness, you need to recognize the importance and mindfulness in the social process. After all, you can't pick up on subtle nonverbal cues when you're in your own head. Think about that. If we're sitting face to face talking, and I'm over here thinking about what I'm going to cook for supper, how many people are supposed to come, what all am I going to pack to go out of town at the end of the week, where am I going to stay, what are we going to do, where do where do I order a birthday cake from? And if I've got all that going on in my head, I'm not paying you any attention at all. So how can I be empathetic towards you whenever I'm not even giving you enough courtesy to pay attention to you? And that spoke volumes to me, because I do take being an empath for granted at times. And I hope that I don't make the person that I'm talking with or sitting with feel unimportant. I don't ever want to do that. I don't ever want to be so caught up in my own thoughts and in my own head that I make somebody feel less than. That I just couldn't do that. Um, let's see, where was I? Social awareness requires the presence in the moment. While many of us pride ourselves in the ability to multitask, this means that you'll miss the subtle emotional shifts taking place in the other people that help you fully understand them. You're actually more likely to further your social skills by setting other thoughts aside and focusing on them for a change. Following the flow of another person's emotional responses is a give and take process that requires you to also pay attention to the changes in your own emotional experience at the moment. Relationship management. I find peace in prayer too, Angel. I really do. And there's times throughout the day that I don't have the TV on. I don't have the TV on anyway during the day. It doesn't come home to my husband. It does not come on until my husband's home from work. But I don't watch it. But I don't play the music. I turn YouTube off and I just sit there and just meditate on God and what can I do around me to help somebody? What can I do to bring somebody else peace? And what is it that God is trying to tell me today? And you have to calm down and listen. And I know for the ones that have the kids and the grandkids and all that, you don't always get that opportunity, but you can do it in the shower, even just shut everything out and take a few deep breaths and then, just relax, just clear your head. And then that's where I find peace. And I'll agree with that one too, Willow. Working well with others is a process that begins with emotional awareness and your ability to recognize and understand what other people are experiencing. Once emotional awareness is in play, you can effectively develop additional social emotional skills that will make your relationships more effective, fruitful, and fulfilling. That's so true. We often just talk to each other without paying attention. Things that others are or what's being said. Interactions are so much more than just dialogue. They are, and um, I don't know the age of most of y'all in here. I know some of you are around my age, and like I said, I'm 50, and we grew up in a time that there were no cell phones or computers or anything. And if you wrote somebody a note, you had to sit down with pen and paper and actually think about it and write instead of just sending them an emoji. There had to be thought behind it. And you couldn't just text. I mean, we had to have telephone conversations or it didn't get said. And that is one thing that I miss with all the technology the way it is today. I pray in the shower too, Angel. That's why I said it. Um, I'm even if it is the shower, I find peace around any water. It's comforting to me. It's soothing to me, and yeah, I find peace around water. But another thing that you can do to release stress is laugh. Just laugh. Just a good old belly laugh, because you can't be laughing with tears coming out of your eyes and mad at the same time. It doesn't work that way. But yeah. Also, you need to learn how to resolve conflict, because if you keep pushing everything under the rug and never identifying it and dealing with it, all it's going to do is keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I am so glad you were here, London girl. How are you feeling?
Hey, listen, hey everyone, hey chat. I've just come off a phone call, so I'm sorry. I'm not up to speed
That's okay.
on what you're talking about.
Actually, I had just talked about mindfulness and that it had its root in Buddhism. Can you give us some?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Tell me,
absolutely
tell
can.
me
So
from
so
that.
so mindfulness has come a Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear? Okay, perfect. So
I
so
can hear you.
mindfulness gives us perfect. So mindfulness is amazing. And the reason why it's amazing is it's scientifically proven way of getting rid of anxiety. In our daily life at the moment, we are queens and kings of multitasking. So with that multitasking, there's a function in our brain that is reducing some of these it's reducing our capacity to be still. So multitasking isn't always a great thing.
Right. That's what I was saying is whenever you're so busy multitasking that you totally miss all the nonverbal
That
cues that the
function in the
person you're
brain is
talking
causing a bit
to.
of
Are you there? London girl, are you okay?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Chat, can you hear? Put a one in the chat if you can hear. Chat, can you hear? Can you hear me? Okay, Queen of Cheesecake put a one. Okay, yeah, they can hear. So, hey, AT2.
Testing,
All right,
testing.
all right, we got you. Okay, that works. That one's
Okay,
working.
okay. So in Buddhism, there's this thing called monkey brain, where all your thoughts are going kind of crazy in your brain, and you can't really separate them. The great thing about mindfulness is it's just around breathing, and when you breathe, it creates a gap to your reaction. So to any reaction you might have, so it's bringing you back to just the moment, just being present. So it's really easy to do. There are loads of apps that can take you through it, but essentially there's even this thing called pause, where you literally just do a deep breath in for 5, you exhale, you repeat that, and even that small action brings you back to the present. So
While she's frozen again, hey, everybody to the chat. Hey, Jenny, I love you. All about the trees. A- AT2, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. I think I've gotten everybody. Okay, Linda girl, go ahead.
yeah, so it just means that you're going back to basics of creating space for yourself, so that because often without mindfulness we can react from a very emotional place, and it's fine to react from an emotional place, but actually what's also good is taking a pause, even just for a minute, to concentrate on your breathing, so that it slows you down a little bit, it gets you out of that automatic defense, and it allows you to really think through a response. And 3 minutes feels like a long time when you start to do it. But I used to run classes of this at work. We used to do it in meetings.
Hey, all about the trees. She'll be back in a minute. She's going
We used
in
to
and
do it at
out.
lunch at work. Oh man, let me try again.
Okay, babe.
I'll try
Hello,
from my
all about
phone.
the. Okay. Hello, all about the trees. How are you?
I'm quite well, thank you for asking. Hold on, let me turn this off in the background.
Okay.
Oh, let me just turn off my television.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for having me.
You're
I
well.
was I was almost going. I said I have to see this, and you invited me, and you reminded me, and thank you for having me. So,
You're
what
welcome.
the topic at hand is emotional intelligence, correct?
Yes.
And what would you like to ask me about emotional intelligence? Because me being a nurse.
And yeah, that's say I was whenever I was an RN, I did geriatrics and psychiatric nursing. So I had heard you say something. I think you were a pediatric nurse, or was that someone else?
Oh, yes, that's me. I worked in actually all fields of medicine except for oncology, labor, and delivery.
I've worked on college. I haven't worked labor and delivery either. But I heard you make the statement the other day that you said you never wanted to work with children. And I said, whenever you first come out of nursing school, you know everything about everything, and you're going to be Nancy nurse to the 10th. I came out and I said, I'll never work with geriatrics. And I spent most of my nursing career with geriatrics.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the break you're taking and the reason for it. And that played a lot into mine too. But then I have an autoimmune disorder and started getting everything my patients had. So I had
Mm.
to leave it. But once it's in your blood, it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
you
there.
you can't help but to be a caregiver. And I know a lot of people say, well, emotional intelligence, what does that mean? That means, for me as a nurse, if I'm working in the ER, I remember I was an intern at Albert Einstein Hospital, and I always loved the graveyard shift. And at that time, I was doing emergency medicine. I was an EMT, and it was this lady who was coming in. She was bloody. Half of her breast was hanging off of her body, and what kept her alive from bleeding, to death, was that she was holding her baby so tightly to her bosom that it helped stop the bleeding. Now, come to find out later on, we found out like the morning after when we got off of work, we found out that that was one of the ladies who escaped the massacre that happened in one of the houses over in that area in Logan. Everybody, it was some type of home invasion. I think it could have been related to some type of drug bust, or no, some type of a drug robbery. You know how when drug dealers like rob each other?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was thought that this house had drugs and money in it. I don't know if it did or if it didn't, but I do know that people were killed execution style, at least 6 people. And this one lady, she managed to get away uh, with her breast hanging off of her body and her baby in her arms. And that's what's that. Now, see, emotional intelligence is saying, not, oh my God, she's bleeding. That's not having emotional intelligence.
No.
I'm the nurse. If you're coming in and I see that baby and we don't even know if it's because she killed her baby or if it's
Mm-hmm.
because she's bleeding. We don't know where the blood is coming from when you initially see it. So having emotional intelligence is not to freak out when you see a horrific scene like this.
Right.
Emotional intelligence is saying, okay, let's get her back to room 9. Let's figure out what's going on. You take the baby, you take the mom, you do this, you do that, you go get me some epinephrine, go get me some atropine, whatever it is. That's having emotional intelligence as a nurse.
And
So
it's also knowing when you cannot handle a situation, so you have to let somebody else handle it. That's another thing,
as
is
well.
knowing your limits.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And that's why I'm taking a leave of absence. I've been out of work
Let,
for a year now.
let me interrupt you for 1 second,
Hmm.
please. Thank you, London girl. Y'all, I am so sorry. I'm going to do this late. I'm going to do it right now. Let me give a trigger warning. Some things mentioned are disturbing. They do involve mental health, they do involve physical health, some trauma. If this is something that triggers you and that you are not able to handle, please click out of this video now and catch me on my next one. I'll make the next one lighthearted so we can laugh and joke, but this one is a serious topic. So if you do have a problem, I love you. I love you enough to tell you to leave. Thank you so much. Okay, go ahead.
You are so sweet.
Well, I should have done that to begin with because I'm not here to cause harm.
And you're such a Southern Belle. Where are you from? The one of the Carolinas?
Well, no, I was born in Mississippi and I was raised in Alabama. So I'm in Alabama now.
Oh, okay. Can you
Yeah,
make biscuits? Could you make some homemade biscuits?
I've got the recipe for them on my other channel.
Mm.
I got a channel, Southern Fried and Gluten Free. And yes, ma'am, got
Oh,
they're me.
yes. I need me some down south biscuits. I haven't had them in eons.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like them with the alga syrup. I can't stand the alga. But
I
anyway.
don't do syrup anyway, so okay, back to emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I'm hungry.
Well, we're gonna have fried chicken tonight. Hey, Mina.
So emotional intelligence. So as the lady, I'm not sure who else is on up on the line at the moment because I cut out. But as the lady was talking, it reminded me of the situations at work where with some of my bosses, we talk about whether they have emotional intelligence. So they could be in a quite high role, but actually they don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to connect with people. So it's as basic as that, in that it then affects how they manage you. So amongst the community I work in, it is very much, oh yeah, they're really good, but they don't have any emotional intelligence. Their skills lie elsewhere. And I think emotional intelligence leads us back to how we conduct ourselves and how we connect with other people, and how also that we can develop ourselves in terms of personal development.
Right,
And that's where I see emotional intelligence. And for me lately, what I've been seeing around the YouTube streets, if you don't mind me saying, is a lot of unhealed trauma that is often left dormant. So it's like people aren't prepared to do the work on themselves, but but are very quick to blame other people. But if
right,
so, my thing is all about personal development. What aspects of me am I working on? If I'm accusing someone else of being say if I'm accusing someone else of being rude, I look at myself and say, well, where was I rude? Can I use this to improve myself? And so that's just how I conduct myself. And if that's emotional intelligence, then you know I don't know. But this is how I believe or develop emotional intelligence. First connection of the heart, because we're all connected, all of us as humanity. And then it's, am I developing myself?
right, right. Was talking about during a leadership course with managers from different workplaces. The manager didn't have his phone muted and was screaming at his staff.
Somebody is spamming your chat with AT2 rhetoric, and
I see.
and this is, yeah, and you could do whatever you're going to do with that. And I am not easily intimidated by anybody or anybody who's a moderator here. I am not here for AT2. I've said what I had to say, and the necessary authorities are looking into those accusations. So whatever y'all are saying in the chat, that does not pertain to this topic. So please be respectful of the Fields of Grace channel.
Okay, I'm gonna say I don't want arguing and discord. I still think we can all get along together and be respectful of each other. Everybody has their own opinion, and
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, there's spam in the chat, so I just had to address it because obviously
Jenny
they wanted
blocked
my.
it.
they wanted my attention.
They got it.
Yeah, so I just needed to address that because I by me being here, then you start spamming the chat. So I just wanted to address that. That's not the time or place to do that. Respect the
Okay.
panel.
Okay, so the other thing I want to say is that was an incidence of mindfulness. So we're having a conversation, and you allowed yourself to get diverted by what was going on in the chat. That for me is a great example of mindfulness, because it's like being able to stay present in what we're doing, and what we're doing is having a discussion around emotional intelligence on Field's platform. So that to me, I couldn't let that go. That was a great example of how not to be mindful, how not to stay present.
Well, that's fine, but I chose. I made a conscious decision to choose to respond to it because not only am I consciously aware that I am addressing it, but I don't want the chat to get diverted by having spam. See, that's going to be divert the conversation. We're trying to get a conversation going, not just on the panel. We're not just talking to ourselves, right? We're talking to the audience. So in order to get the audience in line with what on board with what we're talking about, having spam in the chat is counterproductive to that. So yes, I made a conscious decision to acknowledge that, so maybe Grace can handle it, so that we can continue on and talk about emotional intelligence. So yeah, I made a conscious decision to address that.
Y'all, we're going to take a 30-second break. I'm gonna look at something. We're going to take a 30-second break, and then we'll be right back. Y'all stay with me. Okay, I couldn't figure it out that quick, so
I'm gonna go ahead and leave because they're still spamming the chat, and if that's not going to be, if we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, then I think that we need to have a certain type of atmosphere, and pointing out that I'm acknowledging something that is clearly trying to be antagonistic towards me. Then I mean, if we're just going to sit here and just ignore that we're talking about emotional intelligence,
y'all
it's not that I'm running, because I just don't want to disrespect your channel.
hang on.
It,
Y'all, please. I'm new to StreamYard. If I knew how, I would totally block the chat, turn the comments off. I don't know how to do
All
that.
you got to do is click on the person and it say block user from studio.
I want everybody to just no comments.
Hey Mina,
Anybody,
slow it down just for the purpose that this is Field's Field's page, and we're just trying to get on. If you could do that, just because she doesn't have the technical stuff. I know it's great you're doing it. I don't have an issue either way, but Fields, I think you should just go on. I mean, if the other lady doesn't want to stay, that's her prerogative. But Fields, just carry on. Don't let it get you off where you want to go.
Yes, Fields, I completely love you and I shared this live. So you have a great day, sweetie.
you have a great one as well.
All right, baby.
Thank you. Okay, D, that's me. I'm so lost and confused right now, y'all. And this is where, okay, we're gonna take a couple of deep breaths and get back on track. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So let's just relax, get back on track. London girl, if you would please pick up where you left off.
Yeah, so the thing about it's actually it's an actual interesting thing to me about mindfulness, because it links very well with emotional intelligence. And what I notice, if we just take YouTube as an example, as a subscriber, it's really sometimes difficult to hold on to follow a conversation. Sometimes when everyone's referring to the chat so much, there are some great creators who just pull off certain comments, And that those are the kind of creatives that hold my attention, for instance. So it's showing me now as I talk to you that I need to go back into mindfulness, so that I can have focus, that I can have self-discipline, that I can be conscious and wise, and that I can be present.
Right. Right. I get back in touch with your own emotions and not what's going on the outside, because you can't fully give the other person your attention if you don't even have your own attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. So you can understand why mothers are very, might have little space for themselves, because they have
Yep.
someone that's constantly asking them for things, and they're constantly, obviously as a mother, responding to that child. And so it's important that as a mother, you have a place, or father, you have a place to go to just reconnect to yourself. And that's what mindfulness does. Because emotional intelligence is great, but if you're not mindful with the actions that you're taking, then it's nothing. And in this society, I think, with all the technology, we move more and more away from who we are, because we don't spend that time on ourselves, sort of reflecting and developing, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through, Jenny put, intentional breathing. But we're missing out on those things that we need to keep us who we are and develop.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, Adam, how are you? I'm glad you're with us. Oh, one girl, there was something else I wanted to ask you. Hang tight with me. Let me pull my notes back up here. We talked about nonverbal cues, and that you cannot be in your own head. And like I said, thinking of what I'm going to pack to go out of town this week, what kind of birthday cake I'm buying my husband, what we're having for supper tonight, um, all of that, and be in the moment, in the conversation with the person right there with you. That you have to be in the moment without anything else, without the future, without the past, without lateral going on in your mind, and focus on that one person. That's where empathy comes in, and that's where you learn to feel what somebody else is feeling. And without being empathetic, you can't have total emotional intelligence. Makes sense?
Yeah, and I like, the fact that, compassion is different to empathy.
Right.
And the two go hand in hand, but isn't empathy when you could really imagine yourself in someone else's shoes,
You
whereas
actually feel it. Yeah.
yeah, whereas compassion is slightly different. I mean, I'm sure they're part of the same overall, words in thesaurus, but I like empathy, because because the using emotional intelligence, I can imagine how it feels to walk in your shoes, and so from that feeling, I can then take some action, some compassionate action, if you like.
Right. Right. Jenny, you're on our same wavelength right now. We're all vibing the same. Um, just a minute, let me look. And I talked about self-awareness and relationship management. And that's I was comparing whenever you had been off and on a minute ago, IQ and EQ, and the difference that employers now are leaning more toward EQ testing than IQ testing, because they're realizing no matter what the cognitive skills are, if you can't interact socially and have a social intelligence level, that they require, then that they're doing the EQ testing much more than the IQ.
Yeah, and I think it's needed in terms of how um I mean, I can only speak from my workplace. I work in an office, but it's obvious, and because of the panorama we've all been in, that was a skill that we had to learn to transfer through video. So it's no surprise that that companies are seeking more leaders who have the ability to connect,
Right.
because it's great that you can sit down and do your job at a computer, and certain people are more that is more their skill. Like if you're you might have a you might be on the scales, for instance, for Asperger's or autism, and if I looked at some of the people at my work, then they are the best analysts that you would ever get, but their skill isn't in saying good morning to me as I walk past. I've had to use my skill in connection to bring them out of themselves in terms of social interaction. So I do think that as the world is changing through this, or the first world anyway, where we have all these privileges, um, I think it's I think companies have to look more at the human condition.
I agree. I've got a grandson that's got a mild level of autism, and he's brilliant. He's brilliant, and I think about how he'll be in, because he's in first grade now, and how it will be when he gets older and older, if by the time technology and all keeps increasing, if there's something that we'll be able to do for autistic and Asperger children and adults too, that we can help build that social side up, you know, find something medically to help.
There are loads of programs about it where I'm from, and in fact, that we do an assessment now for new starters that covers if they self-identify or as having Asperger's, or it's the non-visual disability. So they'll have a special assessment which takes into consideration where they sit, the light, whether they prefer to have headphones on all day because of the distraction from that. So we've been working with various specialists to actually make this happen, and it's the same in schools as well here. So it's not great, don't get me wrong, it's probably really awful at the age of your grandson, but I do believe, to your point, that it's developing sufficiently enough that he will have the right support, as many people do.
And I'm hopeful and believe that. Jenny, are you at work, or could you come up here and talk about some of the stuff that y'all do with the EQ test? Yeah, the link's up there. If you're able to, please come up, because I am interested in that. All right, Adam, there we go. My phone's, I got both of them on, and the phone's quicker. The employment world here in America is just completely horrible, especially if there's someone like myself who is middle aged and has, and see, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is I don't think it's fair. And okay, I was in the work. I'm on disability now, but I was in the workforce for 40 something years, 30 something years. Um, and I understand. I've never been diagnosed with anything other than bipolar and anxiety and depression, but I'm the type person, I need my 18 inches of personal space. Don't invade it. And I've been like that. And I can only imagine um, how it would be having Asperger's and nobody understanding that. And that breaks my heart. Hey, Jenny,
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Is there
What
an
I,
echo? I think I heard an echo. just going to shut off my YouTube. Okay. So I wanted to say, if you can still hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I wanted to say, I'm a human resources, and I've been in the industry, like in that field, for a long time. And I remember 10 years ago, for example, I would often hire based on what the employer was asking me for and what they were looking for. But intuitively, I could sense if someone would actually vibe with the company and whether this was going to be long term, based on their ability, their emotional intelligence, the conversation we're having right now. So their ability to adapt to different personality types, or kind of getting a vibe for what the company's culture is, and if they would be happy there, because you're not just, it has to be a good fit for both sides. But emotional intelligence is required in any workplace, and unfortunately that's the biggest reason people lose their jobs, is because they've done something that wasn't very emotionally intelligent, and it affected a lot of people. And in human resources, that's basically what I deal with, is just trying to combat those different personality types and bring them together and really look for what their similarities are versus what their differences are, and bringing them together based on that. And what I've seen more recently in the employment in field is that we are starting to, and this is just within a year or maybe two, that they're actually even starting to train us in human resources to look for emotional intelligence and to EQ tests, like you said. So what I do is I have a set of tests that I give to people when I hire them. One of them is like cognitive, but the other one is based on behavioral. What are you going to do in this situation? How are you going to react? And a lot of people don't know how they'll react in certain situations,
Right.
but you're looking for trends, right? So you're looking for their trend and their answers to see what their real reactions and intelligence level is in that case, because it really is, you're working with people. It's like an episode of Big Brother. You're literally putting people together and just watching them, see how they interact, and if there's going to be conflict or not, and trying to combat that beforehand. So it's definitely become more prominent. It's shocking to me because I always used my intuition in my job, but I had to hide that. And now it's something I can say I use, and it's not considered wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
it's amazing how we've got back to heart,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
That we kind of put people in all these boxes, but ultimately we don't hire based on the skill set, because the skill set is so limited.
It
But the way
is.
that you're saying is you're actually hiring the person. So you're looking at, actually, because they've got that, they will be better in this role. Because they have that,
Exactly.
they'd fit
We
really well with that team.
100%. We just hired, and we just announced it today. And this individual is actually someone, like, we had many different people we could choose from, many that had the experience. We ended up hiring the one that has never had a job. And I've never done that in my life. And
Amazing.
I'm fully
How old?
confident in this.
How
She
old
just
is
came out
the?
of university.
Oh, okay.
She like 20, early 20s, so very young, and we took the risk of taking someone that is able to learn and really has that drive to there's two types of people who can do anything, and people who tell you can't. So you're looking
Right.
for the people that can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and also that boils back to, I always think that, your greatness is attributed to the people around you, your mentor, your sponsor, it takes in especially in when you're new to a job, it takes a few people to show you the ropes, but you need those few people to kind of go on the journey with you.
exactly, it's a big, you who you're working with, it's a big deal. What your environment, it takes one bee in your bonnet, is it, that to create a big problem.
Right.
Negativity spreads. So it's human nature that you'll have conflict. It's how you react. And how you said is, I've been doing breathing practices. I've been trying to do it for like 10 minutes twice a day. And it's just amazing how it really grounds you and brings you back to the
It
moment.
does.
And how
Yeah,
and just making sure that when you're with people, you're giving them your present moment and your full attention. You're not somewhere else. You're very much aware. They can sense that, and they'll, whether they want to be around you or not, is based on a lot of whether you're present with them in the present moment. And
yeah,
Right.
so do what you need to do to refuel when you're on your own, so that you can be present with people in the moment and enjoy them.
Right.
definitely,
Yep.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
That's
Yeah,
what's saying. Don't be worrying about what's for supper or what you can. Am I echoing?
I don't think so. Maybe I am. I'm not sure.
But it's not like worried about what you're going to be cooking for supper or what's going to be happening in the next moment.
Like you said earlier, exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, staying present. But I am thinking about my dinner, I'm afraid, because
It's that
because
time there, isn't it?
well, as you know, I've been stuck in the attic since I did my ankle in, and my friend has come to cook me some dinner. So
Um,
um
Oh, that's nice.
thank you for sharing this time with us. I appreciate you and I love you.
yeah, love you too. And I do want to apologize for how it was disrupted. I know exactly what it's about, and I'm going to call you afterwards.
Okay. I
All
love
right.
you and
Love you, Jenny. Take
Love you.
care.
And thank you to whoever brought you food.
Thanks so much. Lots of love. Bye bye.
bye,
Bye.
sweetheart. All right, Jenny. I
I
think
think,
this
is it time?
it's
Is it
about
time?
time.
Okay. I was like, maybe I need to eat too.
Well, I hadn't eaten either. And no, I usually don't eat before I go on live because there's no telling. I might be up running and just don't do it. Um, I'm
I'm the
glad.
same way.
I know. I know. I'm glad you came up here though because I really wanted. I did a lot of research on it because I love anything psychological, and the more I got into it, the more it's like, okay, well, this is the spiritual stuff I've been doing all along that science has finally put a name on it. You know.
And that's why I'm shocked in human resources to see that it's finally something we can talk about. I'm
Hmm.
shocked. Like they're
I know.
acting
Me
like it's a
too.
new, they're like well, not, they're not acting like it's new, but I see it like it's a new concept. I'm like, I've been
Hmm.
doing this for 10 years and
That's
I'm
what I
allowed
was
to do
going to.
this now.
I know. You and I have talked about this within the last year of
Yeah.
stuff you could and could not do in the workplace, and this was part of no, the deep breathing and all that. No, you can't do that here. And
And you know
now
what?
it's
With
saying,
COVID, people started looking for anything to calm them down. I'm serious. They
mm-hmm,
would, what do you do? What do you do? And I started seeing a lot more people talking about how they meditate, just taking that time to be alone. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting down and, giving yourself however long you need to. For me, it's like just in the shower, just being alone, just listening
mm-hmm.
to to whatever thoughts you have, but also staying grounded.
And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show was, take a deep breath in, hold it, and then release it and do that 4 or 5 times, and that'll change your whole attitude.
It
And
resets somehow. I don't know what it does, but chemically I feel different.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, 2 minutes. I mean, you can do that, but at work with no issue at all.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And people don't need to even know what you're doing. No one notices when
right?
I do it. Yeah.
And then, I mean, it kind of like when things go wrong and you have to kind of get it back together, but you have to have
You did
yourself together.
amazing today because you have to admit you pick up on other people's emotions. So you have to have a really high level of emotional intelligence because you are not just in your mind. I feel like you kind of sense other people's emotions too. And
Yeah,
that's what an
I had
empath,
me a little
you
field
know?
day a minute ago.
I was like, because I know that empaths do that, and so you have to learn at a very young age how to be emotionally intelligent because you walk in the room and you've picked up your manager's energy, your coworker's energy,
Mhm.
you came in with your child's energy.
And seeing the
So
only danger with that is learning to accept it and compartmentalize it without shutting yourself off completely, where you
exactly.
totally close yourself out, where you feel nothing at all. And that's the risk
Exactly.
there if you're not taught. And, I was thinking of you and your son whenever
Hmm.
I was going through this to begin with, about how you are so, when he brought you all the brooms the other
Oh,
day,
isn't he?
eh,
Bless him.
and that you didn't fuss at him, he did what he thought he was supposed to do, so you rewarded that behavior, which reinforced his feelings towards you about that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I watch
100%.
you. I watch you so much with the little things you do to encourage him and to affirm him. And
It's important.
it is so important. And you are going to see that come back so much as he ages. Hey, here, her TV, welcome. But you're going to, as he ages, he's going to come back and you're going to see it. And you're going to know that those are the seeds that you planted now.
Oh,
And
bless your heart.
I love it. And I mean, and he reminds me so much of my nephew anyway, that I watch y'all both on Instagram, you and my sister, with these children, and they are turning into wonderful young men right before our eyes because they are being affirmed at home and not
Exactly.
pushed aside. And
Exactly.
that's a gift that you got that's going to keep on giving. And I love
Like
it.
thinking differently, like what Adam said, people with autism and Asperger's have common sense and are hard workers. I feel like both of those little guys think differently.
Hmm.
Billy's only 20 months old, but I asked him to bring me a broom. He went and found every broom in the house. He went to the basement, and I'm not paying attention. He brought me 3 brooms, and he's thinking,
All
he's
different
doing
sizes.
all different sizes.
I loved it.
I mean, bless his little heart. That's how he thinks. And if that's not genius, I don't know what is.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
he just amazes me anyway. He just amazes me.
Thank
But
you.
they're special little people. All right, chat. I appreciate you being here. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I might be opening myself up here, but does anybody have anything they want to say? You are welcome to say it. Please say it respectfully. And I love you and I appreciate you being here, and that I appreciate it. We're going to revisit this at a later date, but with this month being Emotional Intelligence Awareness Month, I did want to bring awareness to it. And we're going to do some more exercises in this. I think that's necessary. Jenny, do you
Yeah.
have any final words?
Be kind and thoughtful.
Thank you.
And then I
And I
froze.
think that's a good
Okay.
phrase to end on. And Jenny, hang around a minute. Guys, thank y'all for being here. I love you
Okay.
much. And y'all have a good afternoon. I don't know that I'll be on here tomorrow, but I will definitely be back Wednesday. Y'all have a good evening, and I love you. Bye-bye.
Love you.